Assalamu alaikum. Let's cook. I will never acknowledge Jackie Robinson as a great black hero, an icon, or somebody that I hold in high regard in black history. Okay, after realizing how things work, I do love the sport of baseball. Jackie Robinson was a great super athlete. He's one of the first, he's the first athlete at UCLA. He earned varsity letters in 4 sports, okay? Can't deny that Jackie Robinson was a great athlete, but a great black man that I hold in high regard, never will. And I know that the way white supremacists indoctrinate our people, many of us are taught that we have to be emotionally connected to Jackie Robinson. So this is why once I realized who Jackie Robinson really was, I often, stayed away from the topic, because I know that if you do bring this up and you say something about somebody like Jackie Robinson, you have to put in the time to explain why, okay? So we're going to get into why white Americans don't mind black people celebrating Jackie Robinson and holding him in high regard, okay? Now, Jackie Robinson, he was one of the original corporate diversity puppets, pawns, and sellouts. He did get a job. He did make money. Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with a black man going and making some money for his family. Jackie Robinson, he was the first black man to integrate Major League Baseball, as people know. But he was the first black man that the white folks felt comfortable with giving the job of integrating baseball. Did he deserve the job? Yes, he did. He was a good baseball player. Absolutely. Was he the best black baseball player at that time? Absolutely not. There were hundreds of black men who could play baseball at the highest levels at this time, not just Jackie Robinson, okay? Now, at some point, some group of white folks started to prioritize money over racism and hatred. Yes, they still were racist and they still hated black people, but they said, let's prioritize money right here. So they decided that it would be to their benefit to bring black athletes into the sport of baseball, being Major League Baseball, the MLB, so that they can make more money in the long run, because black people in America were the best athletes, the most entertaining. So Whitey said, we need a player to do this. And upon their investigation, Jackie Robinson was the Negro that fit the profile they wanted. He's black, he's a good player, he's educated, he was in the military, he went to UCLA, and they felt that Jackie Robinson would be a good boy for this. So they said, let's pick him, okay? Now, he's the one that they knew wouldn't ruffle any feathers and be a good shut up and dribble type of black person. Was he talented? Yes. But we know that talent comes a dime a dozen in the black community. When white folks select black people to be the first this and first that, they don't base that off of talent alone and hard work. If that was the case, all the black players would be on teams in the Major League Baseball at this time, making the bigger money. You know what I'm saying? So it's not about that. It pretty much the same at your job. If it was all about hard work and talent, who had more hard work and talent than black people throughout history? Black people will be at the top of all these major corporations and government agencies. So it's not about that, okay? Not about that at all. Now, Whitey knows they select black people that they feel comfortable with for certain positions. That's just not in baseball. It's for everything. It's at your job. It's at everybody's job, okay? Talented black person, yes, these black people will be talented, but they must fall under the umbrella for white people. They must represent a weak-minded person, docile, compromised in some way, okay? This is what this black person would have to be. You know what I mean? It has to be somebody that they feel comfortable with, that they know they can go ahead and get this job done, whatever they're trying to do, of course, for their gain in the long run, unless somebody slips through the cracks, spook who sat by the door type stuff. These are the black people they typically prefer, though. Now, at that time, Jackie Robinson was that guy to them. He was their pick, okay? So let's not get it confused and think that Whitey gets up and says, oh, let's help Jackie Robinson and his black family and other black people advance. Let's bring them on in. That's not how it works. They always have an agenda, and that goes for Jackie Robinson or any black first propped up black person in anything, okay? It's not about white people wanting to be good people and change and help black people. It's about white advancement for their own monetary gain or some kind of gain or manipulative gain in their way. With that being said, white people love entertainment. At this time, the Negro Leagues, where Jackie Robinson played in, was a well-organized and put-together professional sports league. It was one of the largest and most successful black-owned business enterprises in the United States at that time. Yes, Negro League Baseball. Negro League Baseball was the cornerstone of, the segregated economy, the black community, business-wise, okay? It was for us, by us, and black people were proud of the Negro Leagues. Now, white people knew this. They were watching. Of course, they didn't like this. This is intimidating to them as well. This is why they always want to oversee or integrate everything that we do. They want to be in charge. They want to either integrate it or oversee it, okay? They could see what was going on with the Negro Leagues and what it could be if a few things changed, the kind of progress we could have made with the Negro Leagues. So, of course, the white folks said, okay, we got to do something with this. So it was like a double whammy for white people. We get to test this Negro out, Jackie Robinson, and see if it works. And if it works out, we just going to go get more. And that's more money for us because, again, black athletes are the best athletes and entertainers, okay? Then we'll make offers to them. We'll give them 3 times the money. It will eventually crumble the Negro Leagues. And we know that this is very important to the black community. So it'll also crumble one of their major cornerstones in black economy. They knew this. So Jackie Robinson was the pawn that was used by Whitey to test run to see if they would get more black athletes in Major League Baseball. And in the long run, make more money and the league would be more entertaining, all that, okay? So they knew what they were doing. Now, another reason why I always felt that Jackie Robinson was not worthy of my mention or somebody who I don't hold in high regard, it was due to a great black man in our history by the name of Paul Robeson. Now, on the original Runaway Slave channel, I made at least a minimum of 2 videos about Paul Robeson and who he was and why they don't like to teach black students in school or the black youth or black people, period, about this man, Paul Robeson. And if they do, they just go ahead and run by it like, with a line or 2 and that's it. Paul Robeson, he was an activist. He was a warrior against white supremacy. He was a professional football player. He was an actor. Very solid man from the state of New Jersey. He went to Rutgers. He went to Columbia Law. He did it all. You know what I'm saying? Now, this man was so powerful and he was such a warrior against the religion of white supremacy that the government felt that they needed to follow him and build files on him, create a database. We got to really watch this black man right here. He was that much of a threat. You know what I mean? Paul Robeson was a popular man. He was a great actor. He traveled the world. He was very known. So what happened was on April 20th of 1949, Paul Robeson was in Paris. He allegedly made a speech about war and the war with the Soviet Union. Paul Robeson said that African Americans, black people in America, would not support the United States in the war with the Soviet Union due to being continued second-class citizens under United States law. He was like, why are we fighting a war for some people who treat us like trash? They're at war with us in America. So Paul Robeson, he visited the Soviet Union numerous times. And he was like, well, they treat me better than white people in America. Better than Whitey treats me. These people that they're saying are so evil in the Soviet Union, kind of similar to Muhammad Ali saying Viet Cong never called me the N-word. So when white folks seen this, the white American government, they said, yeah, we really got to watch him. So they had something at this time called the House Committee on Un-American Activities. That's what it was called. It was called the House Committee on Un-American Activities. And of course, anytime a black person speaks out against racism and the treatment of black people in America is considered un-American because racism is American as apple pie. So if you speak out against racism, you're speaking out against America and you're doing something that is considered un-American. So this House Committee on Un-American Activity said, we need to investigate this guy, Paul Robeson. Now let's get into the history of Paul Robeson in Major League Baseball. Paul Robeson actually played baseball when he was young. He could have been a Major League Baseball player as well. And in the year of 1943, 3 years before Jackie Robinson actually integrated baseball, Paul Robeson spoke to an all-white baseball owners annual winter meeting, okay, in December of 1943. He was the first black man to address baseball owners on a subject of integration. Paul Robeson argued with them, the Major League Baseball owners, he's speaking there, that baseball is a national game. These are great black baseball players out here. they should have the opportunity to play on the big stage and earn the big pay. And some of these players from the Negro Leagues and these Negro League teams should be put in to compete against the MLB and do something like this with, of course, equality and respect, not as diversity puppets, okay? Because the black players in baseball, the Negro Leagues, were amongst the best in the world. So at this time, Paul Robeson is addressing the whole Major League Baseball, all these white men, okay? So after he did this, these white owners had to think. They didn't immediately say, okay, well, we're going to do this because they didn't want to do that. They want to do it their way, okay, where it will only benefit them. So they didn't just hop up and say, oh, well, let's get some black players and here are some black teams from the Negro Leagues for equality. They, of course, had a sinister racist motive behind what they wanted to do because they are white Americans. So they thought about it for years. And 3 years after Paul Robeson spoke to them, okay, they were ready to allow a black person in. And they felt that they had the perfect Negro to integrate, which was Jackie Robinson.